Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Jolly by Nature, and we are back! God, it feels both weird and good to say that. It has been entirely too long since we have recorded anything for BBR. We'll talk about that on the next podcast, I am sure. But we are back bringing you our Chapter 6 PvP post-commentary. You love to see it. And this week, of course, we will be taking on Celeste first, because Celeste has gotten to run away with this whole series, and she always chooses to punk on me first. Maybe this week will be different. I certainly hope so. Let's find out. Let's stay tuned. Here we go. I was feeling better going into this PvP, certainly, for a lot of reasons. Our good girl Ravioli has finally fully evolved into the big bad Garchomp we always knew that she could be. We have a Mega again, finally, and a really good Mega, too. In our good friend Omelette, the Mega Heracross. We have our new Rotom. We have our now fully evolved Tyrantrum, Waffles. We have our Gourgeist now, Pumpkin Spice. Just a lot of really cool things going for us. We finally have Rapid Spin. So if ever there was a week for a shifting paradigm in our series, it was this one. And we're certainly going to do our best to make it happen, Cap'n. But again, up first we have Celeste, who is going to bring a team. She will bring a team, I assure you, I promise. A team consisting of her Greninja Jamak, as well, alongside old favorites consisting of her Florges, her Skarmory, her Charizard, her Snorlax, and now her Garchomp. Apparently we are just seeing all the Chomps all the time this week. Our dedicated lead here in this matchup was Waffles 100% of the time. We can set up Stealth Rocks on turn one if the timing is opportune, or we can just click Head Smash. Pretty much the only thing that Celeste can lead that gives Waffles pause is her Garchomp. So hopefully we are not going to see a Garchomp lead here, which would really put us on the back foot. We see a Garchomp lead here, it's going to put us on the back foot. Because we don't know exactly how fast Celeste's Garchomp is. Garchomp is faster than Tyrantrum. We have a reasonably fast Tyrantrum, but we don't know how fast Rex the Garchomp is. And this is not how we want to find out, frankly, right? So we're going to hard into Cheese here, which feels like a pretty safe play. Garchomp might go for Ground Stab here, in which case we immune it out. Might go for Dragon Stab, in which case, at the very least, it's a neutral hit on a reasonably bulky Pokemon. We do take a Dragon Claw on the switch, and it does a ton of damage. Just an outrageous amount of damage. We do eat the Citrus Berry, and we should live a second one of those, but we don't super particularly want to. But this puts us in a weird spot, right? Because we now have a Rotom in front of this Garchomp. We're probably going to live any other hit that it wants to send out, and we have Will-O-Wisp. Celeste should know we have Will-O-Wisp. We were just talking about Will-O-Wisp on the podcast. So we decide to be tricksy and hard back out into Waffles, and Celeste does maybe the least comprehensible thing imaginable and goes for a Coverage Crunch, which is going to do less damage than Stab Dragon Claw. Literally no idea why she made that play, but she did. And that's the thing. In that case, it'd be really easy for me to sit here and tell you, like, oh, well, Celeste misplayed. Like, no. She made a play that didn't make logical sense to me, but that just means that I overpredicted, and that's my bad. I didn't make the best neutral play. Like, the neutral play there, 100%, was to stay in with my Rotom, with Cheese, and click Will-O-Wisp, because then something was going to get burned that turn. However, I got antsy. I wanted to keep up the momentum, the pressure, and so I overreached and overpredicted. So no mistaking it here, 100% my misplay that turn. But we decide to go ahead and go out into Gelato, who can really reasonably eat basically any hit from this thing, but still eats a crit, which is kind of unfort and deals more damage than it should have. But, you know, we're still at half health, which is something... We're at a range where a second crit would kill Gelato, but Gelato should live any hit pretty reasonably. And we have to decide what button we're going to click this turn, which is actually kind of hard. We have Dazzling Gleam, which is going to hit this thing super effectively if it stays in. We've also got Toxic to put it or anything else that comes in on a timer. Ultimately, we decide to side with the Toxic. And Celeste here, clearly for the first time in this matchup, really having to stop and think about her play, but she does stay in, goes for another Dragon Claw. Gelato lives that pretty handily, and gets a Toxic off on the Garchomp, putting it on a timer, which is very, very good. Now, if I was a betting man, I'd say we protect this turn. We do protect this turn, which is ultimately a bit of a waste because Celeste swaps out. But, I mean, how could we necessarily predict that? She very well could have it and arguably should have stayed in to finish the pig off. And that would have given us an extra turn of Toxic Tick and an extra turn of Leftovers recovery. But, you know, sometimes it'd be that way. We're just going to stay in and go for Toxic once more. As Song the Floor just starts to Calm Mind, and this is a capital P problem. But we are going to put it on a timer. The nice thing, at least, is if it's running Calm Mind, it is almost certainly not running Aromatherapy, which means that it is legitimately on a timer now. It's possible, I suppose, that it is running both Calm Mind and Aromatherapy, but that would be strange, to say the least. And unfortunately, we just really don't have a good switch into this thing. We don't have any poison types with us. We don't have anything that is going to resist or threaten. It does have Aromatherapy, so running an unconventional set here, what would I presume then to be Wish, Aromatherapy, Dazzling Gleam, or Moonblast, I suppose. Calm Mind. So single attacking type fairy, which would be like really terrible actually if I had brought anything that resists fairy. Well, I technically did in Cheese, but Cheese has already taken a pretty substantial amount of damage. But now I'm left in a position where I have to figure out how I'm going to deal with this thing. So we go right back to the Toxic. Just in the event that it lets me live, we're going to keep pressuring it there. It does go for the Moonblast, which finishes off Gelato. But that is going to let us make our next play here for free, which is really, really important. And we're going to decide definitely that 100% of the time the play here is to go hard Waffles and click Head Smash. Which even if Song lives that hit, Song is going to be incredibly pressured and we can finish it off with our Garchomp at that point, which is really, really important. Like, we have to deal with this thing. So we do go Waffles, click Head Smash. We do land it, and just a disgusting amount of damage. One hit KO to the Florges. Just removes it from play. Does also do a huge amount of recoil damage to Waffles. However, Waffles is hanging on by a thread. We are going to see Rex the Garchomp come out to clean up. And ultimately, we're going to... I believe we just stay in here. Yeah, like at this point, like Waffles is damaged enough that it's just like reasonably we could have potentially switched Waffles out and brought him in later to get one final Head Smash off. And that might have actually been a better play. I might have misplayed in letting Waffles go down here, but I didn't really want to switch anything else into that Dragon Claw. And Waffles going down gives us a free switch in to Ravioli. Ravioli, give us the Deathioli. And now Celeste does not have a fairy type. Song is down, which means we can click Dragon Claw pretty freely at this point in the match. We know that we're faster than Rex because we have a max speed Garchomp. Celeste does not know that we are faster than Rex, but chooses to play cautiously anyway and swaps out into Starscream the Skarmory, who of course eats that hit extremely well and deals some Rocky Helmet recoil damage. So a good switch by Celeste. However, Celeste does not know that we are running Fire Blast on this Garchomp. So we are about to ruin her whole day real quick. We go for the Fire Blast, which is going to deal just a huge amount of damage. Does not quite KO Starscream, but does a lot. As Starscream goes for a Whirlwind, pushing us out, but that's fine. We've done our deadly work. And the nice thing about the way we have the team built at this point is basically everything has something to directly threaten Starscream. And we're going to go for a Brine here, which I think is definitely our best neutral play, as Starscream comes back out for Celeste in favor of Yunny and the Snorlax. And here's the thing with Yum Yum, right? Yum Yum fat. Yum Yum real fat. We're gonna hard out into cheese. Because unfortunately, like, my only real answer to really hurt this thing, or my best real answer, is our Mega Heracross. But I'm not ready to commit to him yet. And maybe I should have been at this point in the match, actually. It might be a pretty significant mistake that I'm not committing to him here. But we decided to go ahead and just go out into cheese and get a Will-O-Wisp off. Like, I'm trying to hedge my bets. We do see Yum Yum go for a protect here. The Blizzard on Yum Yum, by the way, is a really cool piece of tech, obviously meant to catch Garchomps by surprise. It's unfortunate for Celeste that surprise is now blown, and she can't get it back. But we're going to go ahead and go for a sub here. I am going to correctly guess that Celeste is not going to keep Yum Yum out in front of a Will-O-Wisp, and instead goes out into her fire type, and we get the sub. It would have been better, I think, if we had just gone for the T-Bolt, anticipating that switch, because now obviously Benson is going to be able to Mega Evolve and turn that electric weakness into an electric resistance. This is probably actually like the single biggest problem with me having brought Rotom Heat this week, is that Benson resists both stabs, quad resisting the fire stab actually, and is immune to the Will-O-Wisp, which just really minimizes this particular mon, which is unfortunate. We do see a Dragon Claw come out, which does break the sub. And at this point, I pretty correctly identify that the best thing I can do here with Cheese is just to keep him in, get some chip damage, maintain pressure on Benson, and eventually go down for a free swap, which is what we're going to do here. We take the Dragon Claw, we go down. And we're down to 3 Mon here, which is not an ideal situation. I don't feel like we are in a particularly terrible or unwinnable position at this point, but we're definitely not in an ideal position. But this does give me the opportunity to get Omelette in, which is absolutely fantastic. And we're just going to go ahead and Mega Evolve and go for the Rock Blast. I would love to get the substitute up, but there is no impetus at this moment for Celeste to switch out. And we can't trust. Unfortunately, we missed the Rock Blast, which is the second, I think, like, really important RNG event of this matchup. But that happens, right? We're running a move that does not have perfect accuracy. But yeah, the combination of that early match crit followed by the Rock Blast miss is just absolutely painful. We do see Starscream the Skarmory come out, who's going to eat the second Rock Blast and go down. It stinks so much because at this point in the matchup, Omelette was in such a great position to secure a sweep, but we certainly cannot after that, and now we're low enough that Jamak is going to be able to revenge kill. We don't really have a great answer here, so we're going to go out into Starmie, into Jellybean, who is definitely our answer for Greninja at this point. Won't be for long. Won't be too long before Greninja has Dark Pulse. And we're going to have to reckon with that. But for now, resists the Water Stab. Can reasonably handle the physical dark moves that this Greninja might have. And of course, threatens it pretty significantly with Thunderbolt. So we go for a T-Bolt here. And Yum Yum the Snorlax comes back out. Now, at this point, I'm going to apologize because this match is going to slow down a little bit on these two because for the next several turns, we are going to stay in on Yum Yum. Trying to put ourselves in a position where we have an opportunity to get Omelette in. And overall, I feel like we're doing pretty well in that exchange, right? With Recover, we have reliable recovery. We see the Body Slam go off from Yum Yum, and it's a crit. And again, that is a crit that most certainly matters here as we're in something of a stall war, and we're trying to out damage Yum Yum, and it's going to force another recover, which is going to push down our recover PP. And again, like something to stress here, like we made a decision here which slowed the match down, and when you slow the match down, you give RNG an opportunity to happen. You give a chance for there to be more moves, which means more crits, which means more procs. And I'm certainly not trying to discount that or minimize that, but I was definitely getting a little frustrated at this point, where we have had 2 crits and 1 miss go in Celeste's favor. It's not ideal. It's not great. We also, admittedly, we did land a head smash, which is far from a perfectly accurate move. And that is its own problem, right? I didn't even catch what Yum Yum went for there. It definitely wasn't a body slam. Was it a yawn? Did he yawn into me? Maybe he did. We go for the T-Bolt here. See another body slam come out. And we get the proc, we get the para, which is less frustrating, honestly, than every other bit of RNG in this matchup. Because, like, again, that's one of those things that on a long enough timeline, enough body slams go out, one of them is going to paralyze. That's just the nature of the game. However, I make a bad play here, and that bad play here might be spurred by the fact that I was frustrated, or it might have just been bad memory, but I could have sworn that Jelly Bean would still outspeed the Snorlax even through paralysis. Come to realize in modern games, paralysis halves your speed. In older generations, it quartered it. And in Gen 6, it was still 1/4 speed for paralysis. We go into Ravioli here, which in hindsight, honestly, was probably a mistake. I'm not sure why we went Ravioli as opposed to going into our Heracross, with close combat, which threatens really everything. Like, we could have forced Celeste into a losing position with this Mon, but we do go in and we Swords Dance, and we get an immediate second paralysis proc, which is really unfortunate. We got the Swords Dance off, and could have potentially swept from here with Ravioli. Like, we outsped everything. There was nothing really left that could stop us, which is, in hindsight, I guess, is maybe why I went Ravioli here. And then again, Snorlax outspeeds with the paralysis because it's 1/4 speed. Yeah, like, there's not much to say here. I don't feel like I played this match particularly terribly, although I did misplay in places. That happens. But like the dice rolls just came up all Celeste, and sometimes it be like that, right? Like, that is a thing that happens in Pokemon. We go ahead and go for a substitute here with Omelette, just on the off chance that Celeste makes a misplay and puts us in a winning position, but she doesn't. She maintains the offensive pressure. She goes for Body Slam. So well played there by Celeste. If she had gone for something like a Yawn or a swap that turn, that could have actually, like, really legitimately put us in a position to win, if we'd had a substitute up when the Greninja came out. Unfortunately, she does not give us that window. We're going to KO the Snorlax. Jamak the Greninja is going to come out, and it is going to murderate our good Buggo friend. Yeah, again, this is just... We've had RNG effects in matches this season, and that's part of the game. It happens. I'm not here to cry over procs. This was probably the most blatant and flagrant example of just crit after crit after proc after proc after crit. And it sucks. It sucks a lot. It sucks that in one of the matches this season where I think I had the strongest, like, legitimate chance of beating Celeste at her own game, that we lost that. But sometimes it be that way. That is part of Pokemon. That is part of the game that we play. That's part of what keeps it exciting, is the fact that you can never be too comfortable. So yeah, we took our bitter medicine. We took our big L, but we do still have one match on the week. Annabeth has become a really tough competitor. We really have to play at the top of our game if we want to pull a win out against her, and we'll find out if we're going to. So stay tuned, everybody. Okay, guys, we are back with our match against Miss Annabeth this week, and this one should certainly be an exciting one. We pulled a win out against Annabeth last week, but it was literally by the skin of our teeth. Again, speaking of matches with a heavy amount of RNG, there was definitely an RNG presence in our match against Annabeth last week. As you can see, we're bringing a slightly different team against Anna. Gone are Cheese, the Rotom, and... Is it just Cheese the Rotom? Is that the only substitution we made? Oh no, we also substituted out Jelly Bean, our Starmie, in favor of Sashimi the Gyarados and Pumpkin Spice. The Goregeist, Pumpkin Spice, really important here because it keeps that Mega Medicham Echo honest, which we do see coming back here. We also see Fame the Grand Bull. We see Rose the Roserade. We see the Sakura, the Chansey. The Chansey. We see the Chansey. We see Annabeth's Garchomp, and we see Sargasso, her Octillery. So a little bit of a different team than what we saw last week, but a fairly predictable series of swaps overall. I'm pretty confident going into this one. Again, I am assured in my brain at least that we have the fastest Chomp. You know, we're feeling pretty good, and we're going to lead Pumpkin Spice in this matchup. Annabeth's team skews very physical overall, so it feels like a really good opportunity to threaten with a Will-O-Wisp or with a Leech Seed. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that just in general. Also, if Annabeth decides she wants to lead super offensive with her Mega Medicham, we're going to punish her for that here. And she does. She leads with Medicham. She's not going to be able to fake out into a Ghost type, and she knows that she is threatened by Will-O-Wisp if she decides to stay in and go for an Ice Punch. Or maybe she doesn't know that, and if she does not know that, then she's going to be punished for it. We do see Frisk go off and show us the Medichamite, which thank you for that. We actually, oh, I forgot, we didn't run Will-O-Wisp this week, but we still threaten with it, which is good and important. And in fact, we're going to hard out into Sashimi here. We're expecting Annabeth to swap here as well, but she does not. She stays in. She must be staying in to go for that Ice Punch. But she is going to get intimidated. An intimidated Ice Punch is not the worst outcome for Sashimi here. And there we go. We see it go off. Does still a fair amount of damage to Sashimi. We don't super want to eat another one of those, so we're going to go hard into Gelato. In hindsight, man, I kind of wish I had just gone for a Dragon Dance there. Because, like, what would Celeste have done? I mean, or Annabeth have done, but I guess she went into Fame and intimidated me, so that's one answer there, and she probably would have stayed in Charmed after that. So, you know. But we have the pink squad, Pink v Pink here. Fame v Gelato, famous rivals. And we're just gonna do what Fame does best, or do what Gelato does best, excuse me, which is stay in and go for a Toxic. As Fame goes out in favor of Nuit the Chansey. But we do get the Toxic off on it, putting it on a timer. It's definitely got Natural Cure, which means if and when it swaps, it's going to lose that poison, but as long as it stays in, it's going to be taking that damage, unless it's rocking Aromatherapy or Heal Bell itself. And we're going to go for a Protect this turn. As the gently swaying Pink Boys stare across the field at each other, and Nuit goes for a Toxic of her own. And so I have to decide, who do I want to send out into this whole mess? And ultimately we decide on Waffles because, like, Waffles isn't living long anyway. Waffles is not a boy who is built to live long. But we can get Waffles out here. We can get a Stealth Rocks up potentially, which could be huge. We could threaten with a Rock Smash, which would, or not a Rock Smash, a Rock Head, which could be like really fantastic here. We do see Annabeth also switch out, however, into Rose for Roserade, which is not the best news for Waffles. Like, that thing hits extremely hard, but we're going to go ahead and stay in and go for a Stealth Rock here. We definitely want to get rocks up. That is a good advantage to have in this matchup. As Annabeth clearly taking her time and thinking her next move through here. Good for her. And she goes for a Dazzling Gleam, which is not a move I expected her to have. And it crits, and it one-shots Waffles. I'm not sure if that would have one-shot outside of the crit, honestly. And I definitely do think that mattered. But, you know, like, again, sometimes it be that way. This was just not my night, frankly. But now I have to decide who to bring into this thing when it is so clearly threatening. I don't have a good answer. Like, I just don't. Omelet does not want to take that Dazzling Gleam. I can't Toxic it, which limits the effectiveness of Gelato. Yeah, it's just not good. It's just not ideal. We're going to go ahead and go into Sashimi here. Hope that Sashimi outspeeds and can KO Rose with an Ice Fang. Or at the very least threatens that, efficiently has threatened it out. We go for the Dragon Dance. We're kind of Hail Marying here at this point, to be honest. But we do live the Giga Drain, we do get the Dragon Dance off. And so now suddenly this is a whole different ball game. Because at +1 we are definitely going to outspeed, and at +1 we are definitely going to KO with Ice Fang as long as we land it. So there we go. Good play, past Jolly. I approve of that thing that you just did, even though current Jolly probably would not have made the same play. I think it was probably the right instinct, because now, I mean, Sashimi's low. We're not gonna sweep here, because there is, at the end of the day, a fake out Medicham in the back. Like there's no way from 5 HP we're gonna sweep. But we can sure fuck something up right now. And Rose is gonna come back here in favor of Fame, who is gonna get the Intimidate off, removing the +1 attack, but it's still going to take a full force Ice Fang, which still doesn't do much. Fame is so irritating, frankly, but we're going to get Aqua Tail off. Try to do some big damage at least before Sashimi goes down at this point in the match. And boom. Big damage. Fame goes for a Play Rough, which does not miss. God, that would have been helpful. And down goes Sashimi. Excuse me, everybody. But we take this as a great opportunity. No? Do we not? We gonna save it for later? Maybe we'll save it for later. Yeah, we're gonna go Ravioli here. Which is going to threaten Fame a lot with Poison Jab. And it's funny because at this point in the match, we've seen both the other matches. So Annabeth and I know that we ran almost identical Garchomp sets, which is funny. I think I also know at this point in the... At this point, I think I also now know that Annabeth has a Choice Scarf, and then at least against Celeste, she ran it on Chomp, which makes sense. Scarf Chomp is extremely good, actually. Poison Jab, not quite enough to polish off Fame, unfortunately, which means we're going to take a big Play Rough here, and Ravioli's going to go down, which just stinks. Like, that's the way it be sometimes, right? That Citrus Berry coming in really clutch there. I made a bad mental calc. That happens. But yeah, that really important bit of surprise factor was spent on Celeste, unfortunately for Annabeth, and not on me. But we're gonna go, I believe, Pumpkin Spice here and to polish off. I believe, maybe not. We're gonna go ahead and go Omelet here. Okay, so this is the point where we're like, okay, we have a weakened Fame in front of us. We're faster than it. Certainly, we're gonna go ahead and substitute, which is a really fantastic play here, because that means that it can't Thunder Wave me, it can't Charm me. It's unlikely, I think, at this point against a full HP Omelet to go like hard into Play Rough and break my sub, especially since I haven't shown it yet. Or no, I did show it against Celeste, but I still think that it's pretty good odds. Even if it does go for Play Rough, there's a chance that Play Rough misses, and has already landed 2 on this match. And it does go for Thunder Wave, which fails into the sub, which means that now, like, the world is Omelet's oyster, and Omelet is prepared to crack it. We go for a Pin Missile, which is enough to bring Fame down, which is extremely unfortunate for Annabeth. I think the correct play for her is, as unfortunate as it is at this point, the correct play for her was probably to preserve Fame, to swap out of it so that she could then sacrifice something, break the sub on Omelet, and then get Intimidates off. to slow me down. But unfortunately for her, that is not the play that she made. And now she's looking at a full health Mega Heracross behind the sub, which means that anything that outspeeds does not matter. Totally irrelevant here. We see Sargasso, the Octillery, come out. We're able to just go for a pin missile into it. And again, Mega Heracross has Skill Link as its ability, which means that these multi-hit moves are always going to land 5 hits. We do see a crit there on the pin missile, which I don't think mattered. It might have, though. It might have mattered at least a little bit as far as securing that 1-hit KO is concerned. But that is, in some ways, that's the strength of 5-hit moves, right? Is you got 5 individual chances to crit. It makes those much more likely, much more common. But yeah, there was my crit of the evening, and it did potentially matter. And we are going to see Fierce, the Garchomp, come out for Annabeth. We are just going to continue to pin missile into this thing. There's a very real chance here that Fierce is going to break our sub, and I believe he does. Yep, sub is broken. But now we're going to land our pin missile. And Fierce is going to go down. So we have like almost reversed the fortunes on this match, like practically in 3 turns, just based on the back of how powerful Omelette is, and how effective he is at just dismantling this team. But now we see Echo, the Mega Medicham, come out. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. This is, I think, my biggest misplay of the night, because as y'all are going to see, I'm going to try to slow the game down here. And go out of Omelette and preserve him. And I 100% shouldn't have. Omelette is healthy here. I should have trusted that at the level of HP that Omelette was at, that Omelette could live. And just started attacking. Or at the very minimum, maybe I do swap here, because I have to consider Fake Out plus like Zen Headbutt, right? Which is a problem. And so yeah, going into Pumpkin Spice here, probably not the worst overall play. Yeah, so we do prevent the Fake Out, which is good. But I think if I was trying to play this exchange optimally, going back in time, I would probably have hard outed from Pumpkin Spice into Gelato and sacked Gelato to get Omelette back in at this point and preserved Pumpkin Spice for the end game. Annabeth going for Poison Jab. I don't know if she overlearned her Ice Punch this week. No, because she's already used it, so I'm not sure why, unless she was just like making the neutral play expecting swaps. But I'm pretty sure Ice Punch is neutral for everything left alive on my side of the field as well. But we do see a Leech Seed miss, which again is just really unfortunate. We're gonna just go for Shadow Sneak for damage at this point. Which actually like does a really fair amount of damage. We do see the Ice Punch come out, and we live it on a sliver, which is really important here because it means that we get a second opportunity to Shadow Sneak into the Mega Medicham. But the problem here is I've sacrificed Pumpkin Spice to wear Echo down to a sliver, when the fact of the matter is that we would have one-shot Echo anyway, with Omelette. Like there's no world in which Echo lives 5 pin missiles, and at this point, to be clear, going into Gelato is frankly worthless. Yeah. This was a bad play. This was from top down a bad play. Although at this point, I think the match was pretty unwinnable for me without Pumpkin Spice anyway. At least without Annabeth misplaying pretty significantly. I could have protected there. And that was the 50-50 mind game that we were playing, right? Ultimately, Anna called that right. And she punished me for it. But yeah, now we're back to Omelette in front of Echo. We are going to see... I believe I do live this hit, this Ice Punch. Yep. Although I guess, yeah, my initial impulse was definitely not wrong, because I don't believe I would have lived Fake Out plus Ice Punch, which is definitely like what Anna was going, like she did go for Fake Out. So the initial impulse, I think, to switch into Pumpkin Spice was correct. But yeah, if I could play that over, I think I would have gone into Pumpkin Spice, immediately hard outed into Gelato, who really wasn't good in this in game anyway. Let Gelato go down and gone back into Omelet. I think was definitely the play. Although I'm not sure anything but Omelet could beat Rose anyway. So I think maybe at that point in the game, I was already lost. Definitely should have brought a better neutral move, I think, on Gelato. But that's our PvP for the week, guys. Unfortunately, we're going to come up a whole goose egg, although I think we definitely gave a good run for our money. RNG hacks was definitely a factor. I think that, we saw the difference that Stealth Rock's chip would have made against Fame, right? Like we would have had a living ravioli if Fame had not gone down when and how he did, and that definitely mattered. But that's Mons at the end of the day. That is the game that we're playing. We had some really significant crits and misses this week. That happens. We're going to do our best to pick up those pieces and move into next week. We are much closer to Annabeth for last place than we would like to be at this point in the series, but we're going to do our best to maintain and keep it rolling. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. As you're going to find out on the podcast, there is going to be another short break before our next episode. So I hope that you guys stay with us in the interim as we move into the end game of Pokemon X and Y. But that's going to be it for today, guys. As always, I have been Jolly by Nature. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Hey, what's up, everybody? You made it to the end of the video. That is so awesome. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons so you stay up to date on what I and my co-hosts are doing right here on the Blastburn Radio YouTube page. Also, be sure to check out Blastburn Radio Podcast, which is available wherever fine pods are casted, as well as at our website down below at blastburnradio.com. But yeah, we'll be back next time, and I hope to see you there. Take care.